In this episode of True Crime Black, we look at the case of a Texas father who vanished one day. All that was left behind was his car and some of his personal items. His cell phone had many crucial texts permanently deleted. His debit card was used, but he was never seen on the surveillance camera using it. Before he disappeared, he told his ex-wife that someone was going to hurt him. Despite all of those elements, the police maintain that his disappearance is not the result of foul play. But how could that possibly be the case? The events of this case occurred one summer not too long ago. On July 5, 2021, a man was on his way to the house of his ex-wife. He had his daughter in the car and was dropping her off at home after they'd spent a fun evening together. Shortly after arriving at her home in Spring, Texas, he told his ex-wife that he was living in fear for his life. He told her that he had recently had an altercation with someone and he thought that person may be out for revenge. It would appear that he may have been onto something. Just a few days later, his truck was found 5 hours away from his home. The man lived in Rosenberg, Texas, and his car was found in Howe, Texas. In addition to his car being found abandoned, the man's apartment had been broken into more than once, and his cell phone had all of its information deleted. In fact, every device of his that held a digital memory in some way was wiped completely clean. That was one of the more odd components of this case. As the police began looking into his disappearance, they learned that he was also part of a motorcycle gang. Some believe that his participation in the gang's activities led to his death. Others believe that there was something else more sinister at play. This is the case of Lopaz Richardson. 32-year-old Lopaz Cordell Richardson was born on April 18, 1989. He was raised in a very small town located in Mississippi. Not much is known about Lopaz's upbringing. His ex-wife Taylor has provided most of the information known about his past, but she can only go so far when she wasn't there herself. The couple met when they were in college and working at a local Pizza Hut. Soon after they met, they quickly began dating and would eventually get married. They had one daughter together, which started the process of them becoming a family. Sadly, that family unity would be short-lived. In November of 2015, Taylor filed for a legal separation from Lopaz. Taylor has never given up much information with regard to what caused the filing for a separation. However, that did not negatively affect their interpersonal relationship in the slightest. The two of them maintained a very healthy and supportive friendship and were able to co-parent just fine. In even more support of their strong friendship, Taylor has been at the forefront of trying to solve the mystery of Lopaz's disappearance. Before his disappearance, Lopaz decided to start a business that allowed him to further delve into his love for art. He opened his own tattoo parlor in Rosenberg during the early months of 2021. The shop was named Dear Life Tattoos. His business was going so well that he was even beginning the process of writing a book. Those details alone would make it hard to believe that he would just decide to walk away from his life, something that some have speculated was the reason for his disappearance. On the evening of Monday, July 5, 2021, at around 11 p.m., Lopaz had dropped their daughter off with Taylor. Taylor lived in Spring, Texas, which was about an hour away from where Lopaz lived. It would appear that Lopaz did complete the hour-long drive home that night. Witnesses reported seeing him in the Rosenberg area at around midnight. That sighting would be the last. But before leaving Taylor's home, Lopaz said something that would carry with it a great deal of concern. "I got involved with the wrong people. I got into this for business. I disrespected the wrong person and I can't get a chance to apologize." According to Taylor, her ex-husband told her that before getting in his car and driving home. Taylor recalls that she was never told exactly who Lopaz was referring to. What did he do that would cause someone to feel disrespected? Why can't he apologize? Why did he feel that his life was in danger? Those were all questions she's yet to have answered. Taylor did hear from Lopaz the next day, but he was acting odd. he was repeatedly apologizing to his daughter for something he wouldn't elaborate on. Then, Taylor stopped hearing from him. She made several attempts to reach him by phone and through family, but she could not get in touch with him. Given what he said during their last in-person conversation, Taylor was worried. She went to the Rosenberg Police Department on July 8 and reported him missing. The next day, Friday, July 9, Lopaz's white 2014 Dodge Ram 1500 pickup was found discarded in a heavily wooded area of Howe, Texas. Curiously, it took 4 days for law enforcement to tell Taylor that they located his vehicle. On July 16, Deputy Jimmy Leverett reported back to the scene of the abandoned pickup truck. He contacted Texoma Auto Care and they reported to the scene also. Texoma Auto Care was contacted because they offer wrecker services and towing. They assessed the scene and determined that they would need to drive on the tracks to get to the vehicle. An employee from Dallas Garland and Northeastern Railroad Incorporated, Adam Mott, remarked that he did not grant consent to allow Texoma Auto Care to enter the scene using the rail tracks. The owner of the property west of the tracks also did not give consent. The police were running into a legal roadblock trying to inspect Lopaz's vehicle. Then, on August 11, Deputy Leverett was able to get in touch with Charles Florsheim. He was the man who owned the property west of the train tracks. He finally gave them consent to recover the vehicle. Texoma Auto Care later arrived on the scene and took possession of the vehicle. Deputy Leverett conducted an inventory of the vehicle and it was impounded at Texoma Auto Care. The items found were a wallet with his credit cards and his driver's license, a GoPro camera, a digital camera, and shoes that were stuck in the mud nearby the site of the vehicle. The wooded area was subsequently searched for any other pieces of evidence. According to Taylor, the communication from the police would be questionable at best. Taylor has stated publicly that the police told her that they searched the woods and the surrounding area after finding Lopaz's truck and found nothing. That includes the interior of the car, which we know they found items in. In reality, the police had not searched the vehicle at all when they told Taylor that they found nothing. This was during the 35-day period in which they were unable to take possession of the car. With little help from the police, Taylor took it upon herself to conduct a search for Lopaz. With the addition of her family, they were able to search several different areas in downtown Rosenberg. They found nothing. A search and rescue organization dedicated to searching for missing persons named Texas EquiSearch also joined the search efforts in September 2021. The Rosenberg Police Department needed to approve of the organization actively helping with the case, and they took a while to do so. During that time, Taylor feels that a lot of evidence was potentially being lost. Right around that time, the police finally told Taylor that they did actually recover some items from the search of Lopaz's vehicle. However, since the police did not suspect any foul play in this case, they did not block off the area of the car in any way. Taylor then learned that some of the members of Lopaz's motorcycle gang went to visit the area where his truck was found on August 7. This would be while his truck was still in the area unprotected. Taylor immediately began to wonder if members of his motorcycle gang tampered with the crime scene. When Taylor was finally able to gain possession of his cell phone, she noticed something extremely strange. Although it wasn't wiped entirely clean, some text messages, phone calls, and specific apps were deleted. All of Lopaz's text messages and calls after June 23 were deleted. The Messenger app that's on the iPhone was also deleted. Taylor was savvy enough to reinstall it and recover the previous messages. Once Taylor reinstalled it, she found that all of the text messages after June 23 were also deleted. Even the messages between her and Lopaz were deleted from the phone. She knew for a fact that the two were talking a lot on that day in particular. Lopaz had their daughter on that day because it was her birthday. The two of them were texting and sending photos and videos. All of those were deleted. And that wasn't all. Lopaz's debit card was used at a truck stop in Henrietta, Oklahoma on Thursday, July 8. Henrietta is a 7-hour drive from Rosenberg where Lopaz lived. It was never publicly stated what was purchased with the debit card. Curiously though, no money was withdrawn from the card. At the time, Lopaz had a very large amount of money in his bank account and none of it was taken. The police claim that they reviewed the surveillance footage and that Lopaz did not show up on camera at any time. That would suggest that Lopaz was not the one who'd used his debit card that day. Taylor also revealed part of Lopaz's medical history that would make the possibility of foul play more likely. In the year 2020, Lopaz suffered a motorcycle-related injury. He had reconstructive surgery done on his arms and ankles. The surgeries made it difficult for him to walk long distances, especially on rough terrain. So how could Lopaz have walked away from the wooded area where his vehicle was found? All Sports Riders MC is the motorcycle gang that Lopaz was part of. On Saturday, July 3, 2021, Lopaz hosted an event for the gang's members at his tattoo shop. According to Taylor, one of the gang members called her to tell her that Lopaz had kicked him out of the event and the shop altogether. We don't know much about what transpired before he was kicked out, but we're left to wonder if this was the disrespectful act that Lopaz was so regretful of. It was mentioned earlier that Lopaz's apartment was broken into on more than one occasion during the time in which he'd initially gone missing. It turns out that members of the motorcycle gang did it. They were caught on camera. Curiously, none of the members were ever charged with a crime that they were on footage perpetrating. None of the gang's members helped with his search party, but they had time to drive 5 hours and check on his pickup truck. To date, they have never been questioned by the police. In fact, the police conducted very few interviews in this case. The police are still maintaining that Lopaz's disappearance was not the result of foul play. His case has gone cold and updates are non-existent. To this day, Lopaz Richardson has never been found.